We've asked our online community to submit some questions, and a few great ones have come in. No doubt that our panelists will be able to provide some great insights and valuable responses. Sally from Newcastle wants to know if wearable technologies will be used on smaller construction sites, not just the bigger ones.
So certainly from Daracon's perspective, we've done some work in this space. We've trialled a couple of different systems, mainly on larger sites, but certainly looking to the future, I think wearable technology, I'd probably question, is that the right technology moving forward? Is it the machine itself being able to identify a human versus a lamppost? That technology is coming on in leaps and bounds as well. So from a wearables perspective, I think that's the technology in place today. Is that the technology that's going to be in place moving forward? I'm probably inclined to say no. I think it'll progress past that and become something that's a machine learning type technology rather than a wearable piece of equipment that ties into a receiver somewhere. So I think it will become better and more enhanced than what's currently in the marketplace today.
So essentially smarter technologies.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, to add to Corey's comments, I think we're already well on our way in relation to technology advancements to basically do what we do with wearables with non-obtrusive methods. Yeah. I think we're well on our way. So I think it's proven within the mining and the construction industry that non-obtrusive data capture is significantly better than an obtrusive method, whether that's a wearable or a subjective data collection. It's always better to do it in a non-obtrusive manner. So, yeah.
And Jenny, any thoughts
I
on
would
that?
echo everything that everyone has said, especially around wearables. The funny thing is that there are people in the world today that will upload their data into the cloud for unknown people to view and see, and there's no issue with it. However, the moment it gets into the hands of the organisation, people become suspicious, regardless of how good our culture is. So absolutely would agree with both of these gentlemen. The more smart that our equipment can get to detect the presence of a person, so therefore they themselves don't have to wear the wearable, that's the way forward.
Yep. Great. Tom is an operator who complains about safety issues all the time, but nothing ever changes. What can he do to make management listen?
Well, that's for me, it's quite sad to hear that. Certainly, anytime anyone wants to give me some direct feedback from the field, we make sure we're pretty quick to action upon that. We have a saying in our business, certainly within my team, that you'll always get your say. You may not get your way, but you'll always get your say. So we follow up on anything that's reported that's unsafe. Is it genuine? Is it real? Can it be avoided? Can it not be avoided? Do we need to manage it differently? Are all the questions that are asked when we get there, but certainly responding. That's the key thing. It goes to that whole employee voice. What's the point of getting someone to empower them to have a discussion with management? They feel comfortable doing it, and then we do absolutely nothing about it. It's just disheartening, and that is what will crush culture and ultimately lead to safety outcomes that no one wants to have happen.
Brene Brown, one of my idols when it comes to vulnerability and speaking up, mentions a famous wonderful words that go along the lines of, if you can't hear me, you can't see me. And this is one of those perfect examples, right? When an individual is raising their hand, please see me, please respond, whether they're being heard and not responded to, or whether they're genuinely being ignored, either doesn't matter. If you cannot hear me, you cannot see me, I don't matter. My desire to engage reduces. And one of the things we find when people are less engaged in their work, risk-taking increases.
There's one here around safety across industries. So some industries, including construction, just have more inherent risk because, the nature of the work. Should there be different rules for different industry sectors and work environments? So other industries include manufacturing, health, agriculture, transport. What's the panel's thoughts on that?
So I think my position on it would be that we don't need different rules. There's risk in every occupation, in every industry. The risks are different, but they're still there. So it's about how you manage them. I guess your willingness to accept that there is risk in what we do, particularly from our perspective in construction, there is risk in what we do. We accept that there is risk there, and there's risk mitigation strategies. There's machine specifications that we buy to minimise those risks. So all along that journey, there's little intersection points where we make decisions as a business as to how we're going to manage that risk. Is it possible to have no risk? Well, I think it's impossible. That's not possible. But it's about how well you respond to that risk and how well you manage it, and what you're prepared to accept in your business.
I'll add to that, Corey. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think it's probably not so much about the rules. I think it's about, you know, keeping your finger on the pulse on what the risks are and making sure you've got adequate controls in place. Because I honestly see that the rules that come out of that are just, you know, an outcome on a good risk assessment. So that's my personal opinion.
I think a slight tangent on that too is, I think we could do ourselves well by being informed to see what are some of our other industries doing. The airline industry, we have oil and gas, we have energy, we have other heavy industries who are managing risks at such a scale and such a volume that is out of our mind, and yet they've developed some pretty foolproof solutions that we could certainly benefit from and see how we can right size them for our organisations. Why reinvent the wheel when there are organisations doing so well around this stuff? And at the same time, by looking over the fence to see what others are doing, we may actually pick up something that we don't see, because we become blind to anything that's ever unchanging in our environment.
Yeah. And I suppose, Corey, is Darracon looking at other industries? How are you probably leveraging? I know you've got a transport side as well, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we're probably best placed, given that we are involved in transport, we're involved in mining, we're involved in government contracts, we're involved in private contracts through our property business. So we are exposed to lots of different industries within, I guess, the function of construction. So certainly the way mining is very topical for us at the moment. We're resourcing a large mining project we have on, and certainly some of the risk mitigation strategies that we need to put in place to make sure we meet the minimum standards and exceed those standards up on those sites. It's quite significant. It's been quite eye-opening in some cases for our business, particularly around not just the people piece, but how we manage a machine from the moment that it lands on site to the moment it leaves, and everything in between. We do have some good process around such things, but certainly mining is one where we've gone, you know what, that's adoptable in our civil business, that's adoptable in our property business. So yeah.
All right, so that's all we have time for today. I want to thank our panelists for sharing their time and your expert knowledge. A big thank you to all that have tuned in. I hope you found this session as informative as I have. I'd encourage everybody to download the white paper on the WesTrac website. I think, you know, for me, and I'm sure we all agree to this, but we all have a big part to play in safety, whether, you know, you're in a management role, an individual contributor. So I suppose encouraging, you know, everybody to continue having these great discussions to drive safety performance. I think if there's any questions from the viewers out there, feel free to contact WesTrac via our website.